Bawumia cries foul over NPP rejection. Now the political career of Bawumia has come to an end. Nobody can resurrect it. Not even the man everybody believes can resurrect everything. It's finished. He told us lies. Ghanaians are fed up with the lies. He told us that he's not a responsible politician. He was only a mate following a certain driver like a zombie. He didn't have his own thoughts. And Ghanaians remember this clearly. This is Bawumia. He was born in 1963. That's him. He's not a little boy. He's quite educated. He was born in the northern region of Ghana. He hails from Wale Wale. That's why some people call him the Wale Wale Adam Smith, because he's an economist. And we all know the relationship between economics and Adam Smith. One is the father of the other. My brother, my sister, this is Bawumia. The first time we saw him in Ghanaian politics, we were so amazed at his eloquence. He was a garrulous politician. He spoke and convinced us. The NPP used him as their hatchet man, the executionist or bravo. He did his job. He had an eloquent wife as well, and he dragged her on the campaign trail, and together they were a very, very nefarious duo, ready for action, and we loved them. They were killers, and they did it right. Beautiful woman, Samira Bawumia. If you didn't even like what she was saying, you loved her beauty, her appearance. We voted for them, hoping that the beauty will translate into something beautiful for the economy, and that his brain will translate into something marvelous for the economy. Little did we know that he was a fake, a hoax. He came, he was totally impotent. In fact, he was docile, he was limp. He was the chairman of the economic team, and he helped Kenneth Nana Yaw Oforiatta to destroy the economy. Today he wants us to bring him back and make him president of the nation. It looks like the NPP people have rejected him. The party itself is now calling him what? Watch this. What is the party calling him? Bawumia is an outsider, and like a slave who was brought in to serve us. He is not fit to occupy the main seat as a leader. Leave it there. Hey. And who is this man? He's called Asante Boateng, MP for Asante Achim South. And we are told that this is from Joy News. Bawumia is an outsider, and like a slave who was brought in to serve us. He is not fit to occupy the main seat as our leader. My brother, my sister, Asante Boateng, MP for Asante Achim South. My brother, my sister, and he belongs to the NPP. My brother, my sister, it's been published by Ghana Web as well that Bawumia is not happy that he is being called a stranger. It's been published by so many other news outlets that Bawumia is not happy that he is being labeled a stranger. And according to Joy News, this is what Bawumia is saying. NPP flag bearer race. Bawumia condemns outsider tag, urges party to unite and embrace diversity. What is diversity? What is diverse about Bawumia? Is it his ethnicity or where he's coming from? Watch Ghana Web. People who call me an outsider don't know the history of NPP. Tell us the history, Bawumia. Run it by youth. Watch this. Mahmoud Bawumia has expressed his disappointment with some of his opponents in the flag bearer race over what he termed as tribalistic comments against him. Dr. Bawumia, who is currently on his campaign tour of the Western region, spoke during a rally where he noted that some of his opponents have labeled him an outsider or slave brought into the party despite his long-standing involvement and service. Sometimes you hear things that make you sad as an individual. Some of my opponents have gone around saying that Bawumia is a stranger to this party. They have said that I am an outsider. They even said that I was brought in as a slave to this party. He bemoaned. He warned that such comments are rooted in tribalism, which he described as dangerous and divisive, and urged party members to reject this form of politics. Dash. I can't agree with Bawumia more. Dash it away. What Bawumia is saying is nothing but the truth. Come here! My brother, when they sent him out on the campaign trail, he was the major destroyer of the opponents of the NPP, and they applauded him. Anytime Bawumia was absent in the campaign trail, the whole trail went down aground. Bawumia was the hatchet man. He came in with his beautiful wife. He spoke all the economics that Ken Oforiatta and Nana Akufo-Addo combined did not understand. In fact, he worked himself dry. Everywhere they went, Bawumia's name had to take the lead. Every distraction they were engaged in, Bawumia became the litmus paper. Today they have used him, abused him, and have refused him. They call him a slave. Is he a slave? Of course he is. He told us himself that he was only the mate. What is the difference between the mate and the slave? The slave has no mind of his own. It's the same thing as the mate. Once the driver says, let's go in this direction, Jo Jara Joro. Let's stop, Jo Jara Joro. Let's go to the right, Jo Jara Joro. Let's go to the left, Jo Jara. About them, Jo Jara Joro. That was what Bawumia was doing. He was a zombie. He inspired fella to make that song. People like him. Today I'm angry. An educated man. Nana Addo said he saw the brilliance in you and decided to bring you to be able to suggest and help implement policies that will make Ghana move forward. When you were turned into a mate, Joro Jara Joro, you sat back because of your big stomach. You were just taking salary and eating very. And while people were coming to greet you, nah, oh nah, wait, nah. Like that, he was satisfied with that. They would bring him kuli and kose and masa and also cocoa, and he would drink. Nah. You were nothing but a mate, a slave. He was so loyal to his master, he couldn't even challenge his master, just like the slave. You know what they did? They relegated them into the act of commissioning toilets. He became the toilet master. Even the president, John Dramani Mahama, while in opposition, referenced his position as the toilet master. He went ahead to tear down John Dramani Mahama, nicknaming him Alhaji John. He was the architect of the incompetent Mahama tag, which stayed on Mahama till he came back the second time to be able to deal with issues. My brother, my sister, this is Bawumia. Today he said that they are calling him a slave. But what are you? Now, the NPP itself came all the way, my brother, my sister, from a certain outfit that called itself the NLM, National Liberation Movement. My brother, my sister, it was founded somewhere on the 19th of September, if my memory serves me right, in 1954. 19th September in 1954, in the palace of the Asante Hene at Manshia. It was founded by the linguist of the Asante Hene. His name was Bafo Yao Akoto. NLM. And who were they? They were disgruntled members of the CPP, Nkrumah CPP. They were angry with the CPP and broke away. Why were they angry with the CPP? Because Nkrumah was trying to use the gold money, gold coming from Ashanti, to help develop other parts of the country. And they said no. They didn't like it. So they broke away from Nkrumah, founded their own party in 1954. Nkrumah went ahead to get independence for us in 1957. And they became very aggrieved. People like Buzia, K.A. Buzia, Kofi Abrefa Buzia, joined hands with the NLM. In fact, Nkrumah has a different name for them, and I don't want to mention it here. My brother, my sister, it was an Akan party. Founded in the palace of the Asante Hene. And their symbol was this, Yatiahon. We are not part of you anymore. We want our own kingdom. Our gold should never be used to develop any part. When Nkrumah became president, from being a prime minister, my brother, my sister, they continued to fight him and fight him and fight him till they succeeded in taking him out in 1966 and bringing on Kofi Abrefa Buzia later, after the NLC. My brother, my sister, that is the history of the party that gave birth to the NPP. It's an Akan party. But in the past, there was a man called Dombo, SD Dombo. He was the founder of the Northern People's Party. He had seats in parliament. He joined hands with all these people, the UP and all of them. Because tribal politics and tribal political parties were all banned in Ghana. The Ghana people had their own party, Ghana Shikome Party. The Muslims had their own party. It was called the Muslim Brotherhood Party. Did you know that we had a party like that in Ghana? The Northern people had a tribal party called the Northern People's Party. Nkrumah banned all those parties that were tribalistic parties and also religious parties like the Muslim Brotherhood. So they all had to come together and found the UP, United Party. It's from the loins of the NLM, the UP, that we have the NPP today. So at first, they only said Buzia Dankwa, tradition. It was Kufuor under pressure who forced SD Dombo's name into that tradition. Buzia Dankwa Dombo. Today, Bawumia says that he's a Dombo. He's not a Buzia, he's not a Dankwa, but he's a Dombo. How about Aliu Mahama? What was he? Aliu Mahama was what? Can somebody tell me? If Bawumia is a Dombo, what is Aliu Mahama? What was he? Let's be serious. This is a tribalistic party, and they are trying to remind Bawumia of his history. You are a slave to us. How can we sit down for a slave to become the leader of a party that is so tribalistic? These people never change. From the days of the NLM, all through the UP, their DNA is still tribalism and bigotism. Bawumia would have become a better person if he had come out to say, I came in here to be a co-driver. Better still, a spare driver. Better still, an assistant driver. But my driver has turned me into a mate. I resign. But greed. Because that dwarf told him, when I complete my term, I will support you to become president after me. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. How can a toilet commissioner be supported to become president? You are a commissioner of toilets. Go and commission the toilets. It's the Blakk Pot, aka Kukushaunomo, where we speak truth to power. There's a gentleman called Manasseh Azure. He's an investigative journalist. Par excellence. He's a smart dude. He saw this and he was so mad and angry. He didn't like how Bawumia was called a slave. He didn't like how Bawumia referred to himself as the mate. He hated the idea that they called Bawumia a stranger. And he writes. So he wrote. This is what he wrote. Manasseh Azure Awini. He says a different kind of outsider. While Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was campaigning as the new Patriotic Party's running mate in 2008, Mr. Freddie Blay was a member of parliament for the Convention People's Party, the CPP. He was a CPP MP for Elembele until January 7, 2009. And listen to this comparison. In 2011, Freddie Blay joined the NPP. And 3 years later, he was elected the NPP's first national vice chairman. A year later, in 2015, an internal rift rocked and resulted in the expulsion of NPP's chairman, Mr. Paul Afoko. Paul Afoko from the north. They removed him. Freddie Blay was appointed as the acting national chairman of the NPP. Can you see the trend? Listen. In 2018, Mr. Blay contested and won as the NPP's national chairman. This was after he had been tagged Elembele Mugabe in Elembele and they kicked him out. They didn't even want to see him again. But the NPP still gave him a position. Remove Paul Afoko, whatever the internal wranglings were, and relegated him back to the north where he belonged. He didn't belong to Manshia. Dr. Bawumia, on the other hand, contested the 2008 election as a running mate to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and lost. The pair again lost the 2012 election, and then when the NPP went to court to contest the election's outcome, Dr. Bawumia was the star witness. Not Blay, not Nana Addo, not Kenoforiata, none of those royals, so-called royals, was fit, eloquent enough to become the star witness. It was Bawumia. And it was televised. We all saw it at the petition hearing. Some top NPP members I interviewed for my book said Bawumia's acceptance to testify was an act of bravery and sacrifice, for it had the potential to obliterate his political career. Kai. But if a heavy load placed on your head does not break you, it strengthens your neck. Dr. Bawumia acquitted himself credibly. Yes? In the witness box, his brilliance endearing him to many outside the party. Some top NPP guns even tinkered with the idea that he should be fielded as the party's candidate in 2016. At his third attempt at the presidency, Nana Addo won the 2016 presidential election with Bawumia as the running mate. Now the duo secured a re-election in 2020, and in the 2024 election, Dr. Bawumia represented the NPP as his candidate, in which the party was defeated. Today, Dr. Bawumia is campaigning again to lead the NPP in 2028, and some leading members of the party do not think he is fit to lead. And what is their reason? He is a stranger to the party, an outsider. He is a stranger of the party, an outsider, of course. Do you now understand why I began this tale with Freddie Blay's rise in the NPP? Was Freddie Blay like Bawumia, not an outsider? Well, Dr. Bawumia is a different kind of outsider or stranger. He is the only non-Akan in the NPP's flag bearer contest. The NPP has long been tagged by its opponents as an Akan party, and Dr. Bawumia is the only candidate whose ethnicity and religion keep dripping from the venomous lips of his opponents. Now, the vilest of all tribal vitriol against Bawumia came this week from the Member of Parliament for Asante Achim South, Kweku Asante Boateng. In an interview granted on Adum FM, the MP is quoted as saying the following about Dr. Bawumia's desire to lead the party. When there is a vacant seat in the family to be filled, you don't give it to an outsider who was brought into the family to serve. You don't elevate an outsider or a slave who was brought in to serve to the highest seat. He added, we brought Bawumia and made him vice president, and that should be enough. You don't elevate such an outsider to the main seat. He has been honored with the vice president, and that should be enough. He was an outsider who just served us. As extreme and unfortunate as these words are, they mirror a dangerous obsession amongst many others who see the NPP as an ethnic possession. In the previous race ahead of the 2024 election, Dr. Bawumia's main character and contender, Kennedy Ejapong, said in a media interview that if the NPP voted for Bawumia, then Ghana would have two Northerners as flag bearers of the main political parties in the presidential election. Two Northerners. Kennedy Ejapong said that. Meanwhile, it never occurred to anyone in the past to question why only Southerners had led the winnable political parties in Ghana. As these attacks against Bawumia show no signs of abating, it would be helpful to the NPP, especially those seeking to lead on account of ethnicity, to think a bit more deeply. If you denigrate non-accounts to win as your party's candidate, how will you campaign to the members of the other ethnic groups in the main election? Big question. Oh, he's a slave. He's a slave. Oh, he's a slave. Dash it away. This is Manasseh, Awini Azure. And it's made it clear. As long as you are an Akan, you can belong to the CPP, you can belong to any other party. Once you join the NPP, that is your home. After all, you are Akan. But if you are a Northerner, you are always a stranger. Even the Dongbo tag will not save you from being a slave. To Bawumia, you were greedy, you were visionless. Today, you are the slave that you are. I'm happy for you. Carry it on your head. Your political career is dead because you were very greedy. You will continue to remain the toilet commissioner till the end of time, until you repent. It's the Blakk Pot, aka Kukushonemo, and here we speak truth to power.